used to stand by this term innocent until proven guilty. You did nothing in your little keyboard warrior moment to prove to me that she is guilty. And maybe, just maybe, keep your day job instead of acting like you know how our criminal justice system works, or how due process works, or constitutional law. In other words, I am a huge advocate for high school students to be taught intro to law or criminal justice. Petrova just so happened to be vacationing in Paris when her boss called her and asked her to pick up a box of frog embryo samples from colleagues in France and bring them back to the lab there at Harvard, because Petrova has a work visa to work at Harvard. And importing these samples is legal, but Petrova messed up on the paperwork. Although this legal penalty for improperly importing this non-toxic, non-hazardous frog material is simply a fine of up to $500. Immigration officers decided to deny Petrova re-entry to the U.S. when she informed the authorities of her very real fear of being jailed for protesting Putin's war on Ukraine should she ever be returned to Russia. She was transferred to ICE into detention to await for her asylum hearing. Here's the thing though, she was already here on a, work visa. Because Petrova has a U.S. work visa from the past, plus also is applying for a U.S. work visa for the present, I have to let you know she is protected under constitutional law. And newsflash, we do not have any current laws established against protesting Putin's war. So, she can't be retroactively charged for protesting somebody's war just because our president doesn't like her using her freedom of speech. Now, what's real troubling to me is the fact that you didn't have sympathy for the scientist. Taking away all the different labels you can apply, her job as a scientist at Harvard. Harvard's medical research might be incredibly important right now, and you didn't take a moment to go look into that, did you? Those frog embryos might be incredibly important if they're used to study the effect of hazardous chemicals and pregnancy. Quick question. Were you ever warned that hazardous chemicals may negatively impact your pregnancy, and which ones you might want to stay away from? And you can try to debunk the information with other articles, but they might provide you with more information. And more information. But at the end of the day, class action lawsuits don't get paid out without the scientists that prove causation first. So, low IQ, neurodevelopmental issues, behavioral issues, autism spectrum disorder, altered reproductive development. What does that mean? That's intersex variations. And hey, were pregnant women warned before they consumed them that this product might be bad if they consumed that product? I mean, who's been spreading false narratives recently about autism? Because medical papers are exactly what I use to debunk right-wing propaganda about health issues. I mean, before today, have you ever heard of endocrine disrupting chemicals, or PFAs? People even within the papers acknowledge the need to do more studies, but they acknowledge that individual variability in genetic susceptibility can influence responses to environmental toxicants and contribute to the increase in disease vulnerabilities. Several studies have reported that some individuals with ASD express polymorphism in the genes involved in the detoxification of environmental pollutants, and these genes have been termed the environmental response genes. Right now, more than 100 environmental response genes may contribute to the risk of ASD. And certain medical schools have been trying to sound the alarm. College students go and apply their education to actually investigate environmental contamination and human exposure. Their current research has linked high levels of PFAS to decreased fertility and high blood pressure in pregnant women, developmental effects in children, and reduced immune system capabilities, plus also an increased risk for cancer and obesity. Basically, there's this class of synthetic chemicals that's literally used in everything, basically all of our consumer products and all of these industries, and they've been around since the 1930s. There's all this toxic data associated with them, and while medical professionals have been trying to spread public awareness about hazardous chemicals, you've had the science deniers put propaganda out there to attempt to dehumanize scientists that are doing this research. With all that research, you might have a growing number of lawsuits. Now, I bring that up because, according to the National Institute of Health, PFA chemicals have been found in the blood of 97% of Americans. Regardless of it being old technology or new technology, there still might be a consequence because of the corporation. They could contaminate the environment or pollute the air in your drinking water. I do agree with your assessment that there are bigger crimes happening, because here's the simple truth. Nobody elected Elon Musk. If Trump needed an advisor, that advisor can't interact with anything that advisor may have a conflict of interest with. So the fact that Elon Musk is messing with the EPA, that is a direct conflict of interest when the EPA is supposed to regulate Elon Musk and all of his different businesses. My state is just one out of 30 that has already had their state attorney general sue corporations for producing synthetic chemicals. But hey, your insurance companies named endocrine disrupting chemicals an emerging risk back in 2013 based off of research that was done in 2012. And that's just 2 endocrine disrupting chemicals. I didn't crack out the USGS National Pesticide Synthesis Project and show you all the maps associated with that. No matter how you decide to dissect any frog, make sure you definitely strip back the first layer of the story to make sure you understand what is really at stake, because lawsuits get very expensive if we prove causation. But instead of registering us, maybe they start with the corporations instead. See, if you add a decades worth of maps, including the USGS National Pesticide Synthesis Project, you will see that our corporations, all tied together, have committed a crime by exposing us to endocrine disrupting chemicals without our knowledge in advance. And unfortunately, we, the United States citizen, can't always necessarily control how those chemicals impact our health. And due to that, the United States populace is due some reparations in the form of universal health care. We shouldn't have to pay a damn cent for any healthcare issues we are inflicted by because of the environmental contamination these corporations together have been responsible for.